5 evidence-backed ways to massively increase your chances of hitting your goals. In this video, we're diving into 5 simple, science-supported strategies you can use to dramatically improve the odds of actually reaching your goals. Now, we all know the biggest difference between people who achieve their goals and those who don't often comes down to taking action. But here's the good news. Research shows there are 5 straightforward, practical habits that can stack the deck in your favor. Think of them as small tweaks that require very little time but can have a big impact. If you're already doing all 5, amazing. You're ahead of the game. But if you're not, you'll walk away from this video with quick wins you can start applying immediately. If you're new here, hi, I'm Ali, a former doctor turned entrepreneur and author. Since 2017, I've been creating videos about books, ideas, and practical tools that help us live more intentionally, work smarter, and design a life we love. I also wrote Feel Good Productivity, which became a New York Times and Sunday Times bestseller. It's all about how to get things done without burning out or sacrificing the things that matter most. It's available in paperback, hardback, Kindle, and Audible, has been translated into 35 languages, and has thousands of 5-star reviews. You'll find the link in the description if you want to check it out. Alright, let's get into the first strategy. 1. Write down your goals. Let me share a quick story from Jim Rohn, the legendary American business philosopher. At 25 he was broke, but after meeting a successful businessman named Mr. Shoaff, his life took a major turn. One morning Mr. Shoaff asked to see Jim's list of goals. Jim admitted he didn't have one. Shoaff replied, "If you don't have a list of your goals, I can probably guess your bank balance within a few $100s. He guessed, and was right. Jim was stunned. Shoaff explained that simply having clear written goals could drastically change his life. That same day, Jim became a lifelong student of goal setting, using it to achieve massive success and teaching it to others around the world. Now you might think this sounds like self-help fluff, but there's hard evidence to back it up. A study from Dominican University found that people who wrote down their goals were 42% more likely to achieve them compared to those who didn't. Think about that, improving your odds by nearly half just by taking a few minutes to write your goals down. That's why my first tip is simple. Put your goals in writing. Format doesn't matter. Notebook, Google Doc, whatever works. Personally, I use a Google Doc called Goalkeeper, and I set quarterly goals instead of yearly ones. I call them quarterly quests, and I limit myself to 3-4 at a time to keep things focused. 2. Review your goals regularly. This is where the reticular activating system, RAS, in your brain comes in. The RAS is like a filter that decides what you notice in the world, based on what's important to you. For example, ever decide you want a certain car, say a Fiat 500, and then suddenly start seeing them everywhere? They were always there. Your brain just wasn't looking for them until you set that intention. Most people make 2 big mistakes. They don't set goals. If they do, they never write them down, and if they write them down, they rarely look at them again. To activate your brain's RAS and keep your goals front of mind, review them weekly or even daily. I do this during my weekly reset by asking, what are my quarterly quests, and how are they going? Each week, I also set 3 main priorities, and every morning during my morning manifesto journaling I check in. What were our weekly priorities, and how are they going? This takes less than 10 seconds. But it keeps me aligned with what matters most instead of getting lost in day-to-day noise. 3. Monitor your progress. A huge meta-analysis of 138 studies involving nearly 20,000 people found that simply tracking your progress significantly increases the chances of hitting your goals. For me, this means using my weekly reset to check whether I'm on track, off track, or off track with a plan. I also do daily check-ins with my top priorities. I use an app called Things 3 to organize projects. Once a week I update each with a green, on track, yellow, slightly behind but manageable, or red, off track, emoji. When I was writing Feel Good Productivity, I tracked word counts for each chapter, a visible progress bar that kept me motivated, like leveling up in a video game. The takeaway? Whatever system you use, find a way to measure and review your progress regularly. 4. Visualize obstacles and plan for them. Psychologist Gabriele Oettingen discovered that imagining yourself achieving a goal without considering obstacles can actually make you less likely to succeed. Why? Because you mentally enjoy the reward and lose urgency. The fix is a method called WOOP, Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, Plan. Wish, what do you want? Outcome, what's the best result? Obstacle, what might get in the way? Plan, how will you handle those obstacles? For example, say I want to finish my next book by mid-next year. Obstacles might include not making time, running out of ideas, or losing motivation. My plan could be to block 3 hours each morning for writing, brainstorm with my team to avoid idea droughts, and use tools that make writing more enjoyable. This takes minutes, but drastically increases your odds of following through. 5. Tie your goals to an identity. There's a fascinating study on voting behavior. When people were asked, "Will you vote?" turnout increased slightly, but when asked, "Will you be a voter?" turnout increased much more. The difference: action versus identity. Actions can be skipped. Identities are part of who we are. So instead of just saying, "I want to run 3 times a week," identify as, "I'm a runner." Instead of, "I want to write a book," think, "I'm an author." That identity shapes your behavior naturally. Personally, embracing "I'm a YouTuber" helped me stay consistent with videos. Adopting "I'm an author" pushed me to write regularly, even when it felt hard. As Tony Robbins says, the strongest force in human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Final thoughts. If you put these 5 strategies into practice, write your goals down, review them regularly, monitor your progress, visualize obstacles and make a plan, tie them to an identity, you'll greatly improve your odds of achieving them. But one last warning: avoid goal overload. Too many goals dilute your focus. If you want to go deeper into doing less, but better, without burning out, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.